the Wu spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
It was like just as fast as people were finding out and talking and stuff like that was how fast they were getting signed to record labels.
Well, that's another really interesting thing
Yeah.
about the way that the record label was set up. So again, or the record deal, sorry. This is another thing where RZA is just a fucking genius. So first of all, they had a lot of leverage because he made the whole album, right? So when he's going to record labels, you know, if you're a record label, a lot of the investment is you have to spend the time and the money to make the album and then promote it and all this shit.
Right.
But they already had the album.
They're already there, buddy.
You know what I mean? So they're just like, okay, we want to sign you. Like, I got the album. What are you going to do for us?
Yeah.
And Riz is like, all right, here's the thing. If you want to sign the Wu, you got to make a contract where every solo artist can sign to whatever label they want.
Yes.
Which not only was unheard of then, that's unheard of now.
Yeah.
People don't do business like that.
They're not going to let you go like that.
Nah, so basically the label that actually signed Wu-Tang, the group, got them at a bargain rate.
Yeah,
like
loud.
it was like $60K.
Yeah.
For the whole Wu-Tang clan.
RCA. Yeah.
Because they gave them those concessions.
Yes.
And like, what a fucking wow, did that pay off for them?
Yes, it did.
Like,
yes, it
that's
did.
so crazy.
Yeah, but the way they paint the picture of the label exec, if you want to call him that, he's basically a fucking kid.
Yeah.
Right? The way they paint the picture is that he himself was a genuine person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's only fair. Like, I like when things happen like that. You know what I mean? This kid, you know, he didn't have a whole bunch of money. He probably had a good amount, you know, because he's running a label, but he wasn't big enough to go up against the giants and stuff. But it's because he was so real. You know what I'm saying? That because he was so close to the street still, that they were just like, no, we're going to roll with this kid. And that was pretty awesome. And yes, it did pay off for him.
Yeah, it did. And it's so interesting. Like, my perspective of Wu-Tang is like so different now than it was when I first heard it. Because I was listening to that shit. You know, I grew up in Central Florida, right? And I was just like, oh, Wu-Tang, yeah, they're from New York City. That's like all I thought about it. And then like I get here and I'm like, well, they're from Staten Island. So like, are they really? But there's two reasons why that joke is funny. First of all, if y'all don't know, Staten Island is like the forgotten borough of New York City,
quote unquote,
because like Manhattan, Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, they're all up here.
Yeah.
And Staten Island is all the way the fuck down here.
Yeah.
And you can't even get there by the train. You have to take a boat or you have to take a car. Like,
Correct.
so it's very like isolated from the rest of the city, really.
Yes.
And it feels different.
Yeah, it does. It really, really does. I mean, because, well, all the other boroughs are urban with pockets of suburban in them.
Right.
And Staten Island is the
Flipped.
reverse. Yeah, it's the flip. You know what I'm saying? It's suburban with pockets of urban in it. So it's weird to us. It's like, what is that?
Yeah, and the only other reason that I make that joke is because, like, you know, I'm from Florida, so if there's anyone that's not going to make a joke about what is or isn't New York City, it's definitely me. But I just felt like saying that because this is our podcast, okay? And we're the Music Maniacs, right? So they got the album, they got the deal.
Yep.
And shit blows up.
Shit blows up. They're making features. They're doing songs. They're waking young kids up in the middle of the night because they're making songs with Prodigy and Nas. And people are flipping out. And the Wu is everywhere. They're making songs. They're making classic hip-hop songs with people like Mary J. Blige. Mm-hmm. It's out of control.
Well, and this is where the way that they set the deal up is so important because now, so they put out, you know, the first album as the group Wu-Tang, and it's like, oh, it's fucking huge.
Yes.
You know, they put out, well, Protect Your Neck was the first single. We didn't mention that.
Yes.
But that's what really started getting them like buzz that they got the album deal, right?
Right.
So then they put the album out and they blow up. You know, they got music videos out. They got all this shit. And it's like, oh, this is the new New York sound. Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, New York's back. Blah, 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 blah.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
All over the fucking globe. But and it's really interesting because at that time, like, well, they always talk about like the East Coast versus the West Coast thing, and the difference in the sound between the East Coast and the West Coast hip hop is so intense at this point.
Yes.
Because like the West Coast shit with like the Dre and the Snoop is like, you know, the high synths and like you're rolling around in your convertible in the sun and you're just like blasting some shit. Whereas like the Wu-Tang shit was just like some hardcore, like dirty, gritty ass New York City type rap.
Yeah.
Like you could feel the difference in the styles.
Yeah. Big up to the RZA for those beats, because when you think about like bring the motherfucking ruckus, like that beat is insane. Like I mean, it just thought-provoking beats just wake up so many different things inside you besides you just wanting to dance. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely got to shout out the production style because it was so like bare bone, and that's why I compare it to like punk rock, and it's like so like stripped down. Like that first album, it was literally like drums, bass, and like a keyboard over it, and like that was it, and like some sample of some kung fu movies.
Yeah.
On God.
Yeah. And let's take a second to talk about their sampling. Their sampling game is crazy. They made you remember songs. They made you remember lines in movies, you know, that you otherwise may not have remembered and stuff like that, you know. So that's cool. Little blips from other soul songs and stuff like that you never would have known, and then you finally hear the song and you're just like, oh, that's from Wu-Tang.
Oh yeah,
great sampling style, like great production, just awesome. So now everybody's doing well. Wu-Tang is entering its golden era, and to me, the early stars, quote unquote, of Wu-Tang are not really the early stars of Wu-Tang. We've got some more people coming out, right? So the Riz is all the way in the front and the Jizza was all the way in the front. They had their own record deals and we know them from that. But they're no longer kind of like the men in the front of the Wu-Tang, even though we still love them and we'll buy anything they have to put out.
Right.
The ones that are coming to the front, it's not even Method Man came to the front right away. You know, he was a crossover artist, but then not Method Man, but now Ghostface and Raekwon are like rising through. And I feel that Ghostface and Raekwon are the crux of the golden era of Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
That is the only Built for Cuban Links album with Raekwon Capadonna, who is an amazing lyricist and I think is essential in the golden era of Wu-Tang, because you first saw him on the Ice Cream song, and the Ice Cream song was huge.
Yeah.
You know, nobody could believe that they actually did a song like that. It was weird. And you could tell they were starting to make money. It was different. Nobody was scared of how they looked anymore, because people used to fear the Wu, okay?
Yeah.
They would literally come with half of their hair braided, okay, with a tissue in their nose and clothes, a hoodie. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like you were like afraid.
Yeah.
But now they weren't doing that no more.
Except ODB.
Well, of course. Of course. He had to keep it real. But,
something else I want to say. You were talking about how you like the beats or in the way the production is kind of thought provoking.
Yeah.
The other thing that always really stood out to me about the Wu in general was just the supreme intelligence. Like they were so obviously like well read and like not ignorant at all. Like the shit that they were saying and like the vocabulary like was just insane.
Yeah.
Like I saw a video. This is like I'm gonna try to explain this in a way that makes sense. It was literally like comparing like artists when they first came out, like their vocabulary and their usage of words. And they had like a graph showing like the most, like in their first 1,500 published words, like the most variety of words used.
Okay.
And this was including like Shakespeare and
Okay.
shit. And the amount of the vocabulary of Wu-Tang Clan exceeded Shakespeare.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not
That's
only
cool.
of Wu-Tang Clan, but even like individual rappers, like
Wow.
like Jizza. I think Ghostface maybe. I don't remember who the other one was, but definitely Jizza. And I just remember thinking of that. Like I remember hearing words in Wu-Tang albums that I'm just like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just using so many fucking great words, and their
Yeah.
vocabulary was so wild and things that I've never heard in like other styles. And I always thought that was great.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's gone too, you know, where it's like, it's not about the label that I have on or how much money I have or how many hoes I can get and stuff like that. And then not to say that was never in hip hop back then at that time too, but a lot of times it was about like, just look at how well I put these words together. Look at how well I bring out words that you've never heard in your life. Like that was like the point of being like a lyricist. And if you got stopped in the street, like guaranteed, if you shun a camera on any of these dudes at any time, they would hit you with at least some 8 bars. Like, you know what I mean? Because they're rappers. Like, you know, so and lyrics just got out of control around their golden era. It was just like mind blowing.
I bomb atomically.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Socrates. I sing a song. I sing,
sipping on ginseng.
I mean, it's just too much. It's just too much. And then of course the skits are hilarious. There's a Ghostface and Old Dirty Bastard skit where Old Dirty Bastard pretends like he's a crackhead and he wants to buy a TV from Ghostface. It's just, and then Ghostface kind of loses character and you hear them kind of laughing a little bit. Like, it's just hilarious. But
so much personality on the records. On all of them.
And just like a lot of hip hop stories, you know, people end up going to jail and things like that. And they were riding really high for a while, and Old Dirty Bastard goes to jail.
He put an album first.
Yeah, he had out Old Dirty Bastard.
So like we said, so RZA got the deal where every individual person could put out albums on a different label, which is wild. Yes. So the first one was Method Man.
Yes, he goes to Def Jam.
To Cal.
And Old Dirty Bastard's pissed because he always wanted to be on Def Jam.
Right.
But then he gets on Def Jam at 50 and they kill him. Anyway.
Well, this is actually, I thought this was really dope because RZA was like, nah, don't go to Def Jam because Meth is already on Def Jam. We got other labels to infiltrate. Mm-hmm. That's what he said. I was like, this dude is like, RZA's like that. I mean, RZA's clearly a genius, but he's literally like he reminds me. He's definitely read like Sun Tzu, like The Art of War.
Yeah, I was about to say,
you know
he's
what
a
I mean?
warrior.
Like,
he sits up in the tree and is like waiting.
100%.
I mean? Yeah,
like he's got the whole master plan. Like he sees the battle as a chess field.
Yes,
you know what I mean. He saw the whole rap game as a fucking chessboard, and he's just fucking. He's the master. He's the puppet master of the whole thing.